How you guys doing? We got your boy all spiffed out today because we're talking big boy money, all right? Big girl money too. But basically what this is it is a case study of one of the stores that I had ran last year during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all the way through December. And then we decided to close the company due to the difficulties. And I'm going to talk about the difficulties too. So this is going to go over a little bit on how we scaled. It's obviously using the implementation that I basically have been teaching all of you guys. So there's nothing or there's no information that you guys are missing on how you can do this independently, aside from maybe the money that's in your bank account, okay? But that's a simple fix. I'll talk a little bit about the background of this particular client and why we were so successful together as partners. And we still have a great working relationship today with different stores. So in total, me and this individual have probably done 8 million together in total gross sales. This was our first project together. So this was an automation client who had joined a credit program, who basically got, allocated a bunch of credit. So he was working with about 400,000 in credit that we were able to inject into a e-commerce platform. He came to me and he went to two others. I'm not going to name the two other Shopify automation guys. But I've had a bunch of clients come to me after them based on the testimonial of this individual. So long story short, we had started his campaign on October 20th, okay? And on October 20th, we had done 1,400 in sales. I had found this product on Etsy, so I was doing Etsy at the time. This was before Spytools. I was just doing, like I told you guys, hours of product research. So I was going in and I was manually working. I was manual labor at the end of the day to find this particular product. When I found the product, I sourced it. We got a cheap price. And then I realized, hey, there's nobody really selling this on Facebook or even on Shopify with like a single branded store. So let's just custom build it. I'm not going to share the disclosure of the name. I'm sure if you do your research, you can find this store out there. But realistically speaking, it was on Etsy ads for YouTube. They were selling this product like crazy because we brought it to the forefront, similar to the Galaxy Lights. So with Galaxy Lights, specifically the Nebulite, it was a company called Thunder Labs. I've spoken about them before. We brought that to the market in 2019 in November. It went super viral, and this was another product that went super viral as well that we were first to the market to find. So yeah, let's go over a little bit about the technicalities behind this, and I'll show you guys some results to get you guys all motivated and stuff like that. And I'll talk a little bit about how we scaled to these numbers. So let's start by making it super simple. On October the 21st, we launched our first Facebook campaigns towards this product. It was a picture campaign, so it wasn't a video. We had no UGC. We just ripped the picture basically from Google Images of the particular product, and then we posted it with some sleek copy. And it did really well, okay? So on October 21st, we're probably looking at a 6 to 7x return on ad spend, and we find, okay, this product has a ton of potential, right? So if you test a product and right off the rip, it gets a 6 or 7 times return on ad spend, you need to put your foot down on the pedal and hit the gas, and that's exactly what we did. So I'll show you here. On October 22nd, we doubled the budget, and our return on our ROAS actually improved. Sorry for the tongue slur there. So our return on ad spend improved at a 7 or at an 8K mark. We're probably looking at around 12x return on ad spend because the product was just being shared by everybody. I had done the Just Another Panel social media proofing on it, so I bought likes and comments, and that drastically improved the showcase of the ad, obviously, to the public opinion. On October the 23rd, we hit our first 10K day. 24th, 12K. And then this mark here is when we really decided to absolutely go AWOL with it. So what we did was we basically bought a bunch of Facebook ad accounts, and they all had 5K spend limits. So back then it was super easy to get a hold of verified BMs, and we're only talking a year ago. Now it's much more difficult. You need an agency account to be able to scale to this amount. So we had purchased 3 or 4, I can't remember, ad accounts, and we were running 5K on each. So we were basically spending $20,000 a day, all with different ad IDs, because it's still true to this day. If you guys run the same ad on the same page within a different ad account in the same BM, it just instantly gets suspended for circumvention because it thinks that you're trying to avoid that 5K daily spend budget. Okay, so each different ad account has to be running a different URL basically. So we ran it on different accounts, which is the fix to that. If you guys have multiple accounts running it, there's no issues with that. So we had started spending about $20,000 a day here. Not here, but in particular within this peak here. So we're looking at 27,000, 32,000, 34,000, 35,000. Okay, so now if I go to November, let's go to November, which is really when we started going crazy. Scaling up from 36,000, we had hit 65,000, and like we did before, we decided, okay, let's buy another 2 ad accounts. So at this point, we were probably at like a 3x return on ad spend. So, we were spending $25,000, and we were looking to get to $100,000 a day or upwards of that, and we were hitting 65,000 constantly, which was like a 2.1 to 2.4, but we were still super profitable. Our margins were like 32% to 35, and then up here, we just went absolutely crazy. So we were doing 150K a day for a while, or within that ballpark, definitely over 6 figures a day. And we hit $1 million generated in 11 days. So we had broken from 0 to $1 million basically in 11 days with a brand new product on a brand new store. The conversion rate is wonky because at this time we were using Intercart, which is no longer with us, unfortunately. So the conversion rate looks super low, but it's because we were using third-party checkout, so it doesn't actually track the conversion rate. It won't fire it. So these conversion rates, the 0.3%, are basically like an upsell or something on the store or paying for shipping. That would count as a conversion. So don't keep that in mind. Then continuously going, we're looking at 50K days, 60K days, and this is when it started getting difficult, and I'll explain why. So Facebook ads, we were having some issues keeping the profiles up and active, so we were constantly having to refresh the ads and making sure that the ads were constantly approved and not rejected, because we started having some issues with circumvention. So what we did was we at the time we cloaked the URL, so we were doing a URL cloak to get it around Facebook's algorithm, which worked. Now it doesn't work. That method is patched. But basically around this time, we dropped down back again to 37,000, and we started focusing on inventory and making sure that our product was just as good as possible for the customers. And we partnered with a sourcing agent, and the sourcing agent basically gave us a bunch of information correlating to this product and how this product needed to be packaged in order for it to be efficient for shipping. And because you have to remember too, our volume, just in the month of November, we did 34,000 orders, not including the amount of people that purchased 3 or 4 of these products, right? So we probably shipped just around 60,000 of this particular unit in that month. And to manage a supply chain of 60,000, even though they're in China and they're a sourcing agent, not many are doing 60,000 in total quantity in a month for any particular one given product, unless you're like a huge brand. But especially for sourcing agents, they're more fluent or familiar with maybe 100 orders a day or something like that. So anyways, moving forward, we decided to basically take some time to focus on the product. And me and him at this time we were brainstorming almost nightly on how we can potentially improve the quality and the shipping time on this product. So we were discussing potentially opening a manufacturing facility in-house in the United States and employing some individuals there, because the product could be made in the United States. But we looked at the logistics and it was more difficult to do that, so we decided to stick with our Chinese partners. And then we'll get into December and sort of when things kind of blew up in our face and in sales too. In December, from December 1st to December 31st, you'll notice a huge spike down. A lot of the issues came from Facebook advertising. At the time, TikTok wasn't big. It was just in the infancy stages of becoming sort of the next thing, and I was basically catching on to that at the time because of these trials and tribulations that I was faced with Facebook ads. So long story short, we continue to do about 100K a day, 75,000 a day, until I would say the real drop off was around Christmas. So in Christmas, when you're doing $150,000 a day or $100,000 a day, and then you go down to $1,700 a day or $2,800 a day, you know, it hurts. And that's like a 99% reduction in sales. So you seriously have to step back and consider why that happened. And for us, it was the circumvention policy. We eventually got lazy and we hired some media buyers, and they weren't as fluent as we were with media buying, and they didn't know the Facebook rules with the ads having to be on different ad accounts. So we were giving them basically BMs, and then these BMs blew up and it banned the domain. So a lot of you guys might be thinking, why didn't you just make a new domain? At this time, we got hit with basically a huge hold from Stripe. So we were using Stripe. We weren't using a 3PL, which is a third-party payment processor, which is a huge mistake. Anytime you're pumping crazy volume, you don't want to be using PayPal and you don't want to be using Stripe, because the reserves are basically cutting out 90% of the profit margins, right? So at this point, when we were doing, you know, $78,000 a day, we were making 15 to 20,000 in profit, but then we had a payment reserve that was slapped onto that was eating that profit essentially for us. So we didn't get paid for this store until, you know, in May. And that's why I think it was so important that we partnered, or that I partnered with this client for this particular store, because he blew through that $400,000 credit line just to be able to fulfill all these orders. And then, you know, I had to wait for my cut. He had to wait for his profit cut. We knew it was going to come because it wasn't PayPal and it was Stripe, and we had tracking numbers and we were fulfilling every single order. But it was stressful. It was definitely stressful. So this client basically had to cut into his personal money stash and fulfill a lot of these orders out of pocket because Stripe wasn't releasing the funds. I mean, when you do 0 to $1 million in 11 days, Stripe starts asking questions. And despite all of the evidence that we were providing in terms of tracking numbers and stuff like that, the chargebacks rates ended up getting to about a 1.7 because the tracking, you know, we had to scale the customer service with the business. We didn't anticipate this business going this viral this quickly, so we hired customer service representatives that were basically managing the entire back end of customers and keeping them updated with tracking numbers. We had tracking delays with our sourcing agent because this product had to be handmade. This sourcing agent basically had to keep up with about 60,000 units going out every month, so they had to up their staff. It was all just something that blew up and it wasn't planned. And that's why I like to use this store as an example. I can show you, and I plan on showing you many more case studies like this of stores that have consistently gone up and have done $1 million a month, but have been planned. So we've planned their rise to success, as opposed to this one, which is just kind of like a shot in the dark fluke. But it was still planned, and we still basically went as hard as we could with this particular product in the store, but we decided as professionals to close the business when things got a little crazy and out of hands with the sourcing agent. And one of those things is they started shipping the different product because, and I swear, the sourcing agent made more money than we did on this particular store, which is hilarious because you have to remember, this particular product we were buying for 17 bucks, the average order value being $72, but that's because we had, you know, some bumps in quantities. So the average order for us to fulfill was probably around $28. The sourcing agent probably keeping about 20 of that. You know, and then multiply that by 70,000 orders, which is the total amount that we had done. You know, 20 times 70,000, that's a pretty penny. So we almost made the same money as the sourcing agent at the end of the day, but then we had chargeback fees, right? And at the time, we weren't using Mitigator. I wrote down a huge list of chargeback solutions here that we didn't have at the time. You know, there's Pay, there's Mitigator, there's Chargeback 911. There's a ton of different companies that we could have injected early on that would have saved our business and prevented it from even hitting Stripe. So the Stripe percentage, and we weren't doing friendly transactions either to, you know, increase our volume to prevent chargebacks. That's going to have its own module that I'll talk about. But this is basically what can happen to all of you guys, right? So anytime you guys are looking for that overnight success, you know, it could affect your payment processing ability. And now this particular client, you know, all of our stores, we have to run through IBOs, which are called independent business owners. So it's not run through his name because his name is tarnished and it's match listed because of this situation that happened with Stripe. So, you know, it's pretty interesting, and we can go into, you know, January and see the sales volume that we did in January. 23,000, right? So when you're looking at, you know, $1 million in 11 days, and I can show you, you know, let's do the 2 to 12. You know, 1.1 million in 11 days. to 24,000 in a month, you have to start considering, you know, what did we do wrong and how can we reverse engineer this? And luckily, me and this individual are really good friends now. And, you know, this is kind of brush the dirt off our shoulder and move on. But we grew really quickly and we made a bunch of money at the end of the day. This individual made obviously a big chunk of change. I think the total sales, if we do all time, let's see here. Let's go to March. Why not? In total, we did 3.6 million. And out of that, I would say 28% is probably net. So we're probably looking at, I don't know, 850,000. I got my cut. He got his cut. For him and I both, it was a big kick in the ass into actually sitting down and, you know, formulating these strategies that you see me talking about here and sharing with you guys, because it's so important to have the proper systems in place so that you don't have this happen and blow up in your face, okay? And, you know, moving forward now, obviously these systems that I'm teaching you guys can be super helpful, because if you implement them and you have a winner and this happens to you guys have the ability to protect your payment processing. You have the ability to work with a sourcing agent that's trusted and tested with over 8 figures spent through them, the sourcing agent that I'm going to personally recommend to you guys. And it's just a bunch of expensive education that you guys don't have to go through. Okay, so for me, this was countless sleepless nights, and although it seems like a lot of money, which it totally is a lot of money, you know, a lot of it came down to stress and mitigating damage control and putting out fires every single day, because we just didn't scale properly. We didn't go, you know, from 20K a day to 30K a day to 40K a day and tested the volume and making sure our sourcing agent is accurate, is working at the same volume and frequency that we are, talking to our customer service representatives and making sure that, you know, we're hiring as the scale of the business. We just kind of threw a bunch of money out there and got a huge return on ad spend at scale, and then we had to deal with putting out the fires later. So this is just a little case study. I thought I'd go over a quick video and just show you guys one of these. If you guys like this video, personally message me and let me know that you guys want more case studies. I plan on doing some live case studies too. There's a couple of big stores that I actually have right now that are doing really, really well, and I don't mind sharing the product and sharing the theme. Obviously, I'm not going to export them so that you guys can, you know, upload them on your own store, but I mean, just like being transparent with the brand and showcasing the sales and stuff like that. I don't mind doing that. Once you guys are a paid member, I consider you guys, you know, part of a little community of family that we have here, and I'm not shying away or hiding from anything. This store was a fantastic learning experience for me, and it allowed me to really buckle down on, you know, the abilities that I'm currently sharing with you today. So if I didn't have the losses, or not losses financially, but losses in terms of potentially turning this into an 8-figure business, which I totally think could have happened. You know, we had offers from some huge companies to buy and acquire this company when we showed them that we did 0 to a million in 11 days, and we decided not to, which is silly. But at the end of the day, this is a great lesson, and I hope that you guys learned something from this video. Stay tuned. There's more modules like this coming out. This is just a little case study on this particular brand, and I hope you guys have a great day. Stay tuned. Many more to come. This is Franco Shaw. You guys are watching The Course. Take care.